and welcome to the beautiful Hollywood Hills where some dreams come true and like 99%, well, just don't. But yes, today we're going to talk Hollywood Hills real estate. We'll talk a little bit of history, prices, who lives here, why the heck are people even moving here, and then at the end we'll take a tour of 3 different neighborhoods in the Hollywood Hills, including the most expensive, the best bang for your buck, and my favorite. Also, at the end, I'll tell you how you can drive to this secret lookout with one of the highest elevations in the Hollywood Hills and, well, some of the best views in the city. But now for a little bit of Hollywood Hills history. In the early 1920s, one of the first major residential developments in the Hollywood Hills was built on the east side, called Hollywood Land, and was advertised with a big white sign that eventually turned into the now famous Hollywood sign. And then around the same time, Beverly Hills started blowing up with a bunch of celebrities moving into the area. Then the popularity of the Hollywood Hills started shifting towards the west side. Then the Sunset Strip was born, pretty much as a pit stop for celebrities going from the movie studios to their homes in Beverly Hills. And then the Sunset Strip turned into Vegas before Vegas existed, with a bunch of gambling, music, and well, mobsters. And actually, the same mobsters that ran the Sunset Strip were the same mobsters that started the Vegas Strip, aka Bugsy Siegel. And it's on this historical foundation of glamour, glitz, and outlaws of the Roaring 20s and 1930s, not the 1960s, that propelled future celebrities to build their careers on the Sunset Strip and houses in the Hollywood Hills. So who lives in the Hollywood Hills? Well, pretty much every famous creative person that you can think of at one point or another lived in the Hollywood Hills, from Dr. Dre to like Jimi Hendrix. But also, some of the most creative architects in the world have built homes in the Hollywood Hills. There's, for example, the Stahl House, one of the most famous pieces of mid-century modern architecture. There's the Storer House, built by world-famous architect Frank Lloyd Wright. And then there's this crazy piece of work, the Chemosphere House, designed by John Lautner in the 1960s. So why the heck are people moving to the Hollywood Hills? One, to be cool by association to past and current residents like Jim Morrison, Keanu Reeves, and, well, just a bunch of other cool and famous people. 2, for some of the best views in Los Angeles. And 3, surprisingly, for reasons not too different from what made people move to the hills almost 100 years ago, which is summed up by this advertisement from the 1920s that read, "Above the turmoil of the city." So yes, the Hollywood Hills is where people come to be in LA, but not really live in LA. But now for the fun stuff, let's talk real estate. And by the way, my name is Daniel Rangel, real estate agent in the Hollywood Hills. If I can be of any help, it would be an honor. And for a consultation, you can find my information in the description below. And if you like this video, don't forget to hit like or subscribe. And first, let's clarify. For this video, I'm referring to the western part of the Hollywood Hills, east of Beverly Hills, and west of the 101 freeway. But anyway, the median price for a single family house in the Hollywood Hills is around $2.7 million, which in general makes it less expensive than Beverly Hills and Santa Monica, and more expensive than Venice Beach and Culver City. Now, to all of this, you may be like, whoa, I thought the Hollywood Hills was a lot more expensive. And it is. You also have houses selling for like $70 million, but it's also kind of, well, not. I mean, only in the Hollywood Hills can you find a $2.5 million house right next to a $25 million house. And you're not really going to find this in other neighborhoods like Beverly Hills that were uniformly developed and planned, where they were pretty much like, okay, so this is where the poor people are going to live, and this is where the rich people are going to live, with big lots and amazing views. The Hollywood Hills, on the other hand, was pretty much like, yeah, just like fend for yourself and survival of the best views. And some big contributing factors to value in the hills are 1, views, the direction of the views, the degree of the views. 2, how big can your views get while still being as close as possible to the Sunset Strip or like regular civilization. 3, land, but equally important, how much of it is flat. 4, partially kidding, but partially not, can you walk around naked in your living room without anyone seeing you? 5, parking, and well, the list just goes on. But yes, the Hollywood Hills is one of the most difficult places to value a property, partly due to the unique topography of the area and the diversity of the homes. Now, a couple of things to consider before you buy a house in the Hollywood Hills. One, yards are limited. You're typically trading land for views. Two, walkability. There's typically no sidewalks, and well, the idea of like walking to a local convenience store is kind of out of the question. Three, some of the streets can be extremely narrow, so your driving, parking, and reverse skills better be on game. And finally, fires. The Hollywood Hills is located in a high fire severity zone. So one, think about it. And two, before you buy a house, look into fire insurance. But now let's talk neighborhoods. Now, the most expensive section of the Hollywood Hills is going to be the Bird Streets and the surrounding area right next to Beverly Hills. Now, the median price for a single family house here is around $4.3 million with a high of about $70 million. Now, some of the things making this area attractive are one, the proximity to the Sunset Strip and Beverly Hills, two, the views, and the sudden elevation. I mean, an elevation of 1,000 feet above sea level to the nearest nightclub is only like a mile. Now, the same elevation in Bel Air or Brentwood, and well, you kind of start running the risk of killing your buzz before you get to the club. Now, one of my favorite parts in this area is the Doheny Estates towards the top of the hill. One, you have some of the widest streets in the area with parking on both sides and sidewalks. All things that sound super basic, but are actually incredibly rare to find in the Hollywood Hills. Now, one of the most expensive streets here is Robin Drive, where two of the most expensive houses recently sold, one for $42 million and the other for $32 million. Now, some other expensive and celebrity-studded streets are Thrasher, Oriole, Tanager, and Blue Jay Way, which are all bird names, hence the name Bird Streets. And by the way, George Harrison from the Beatles lived on Blue Jay Way, which was the inspiration for the song Blue Jay Way. Hollywood Hills neighborhood number 2, my favorite, Laurel Canyon, but specifically the section east of Laurel Canyon Boulevard that overlaps with Nichols Canyon. And one of the reasons I like this pocket is that while physically you're only like a few minutes away from like regular civilization in Los Angeles, mentally you're just like in another country. I mean, it's rustic, it's lush, it's wild. I mean, I could totally see people living in proper LA and still choosing to have a vacation house here, only like minutes away from like their regular house. This is also where the Chemosphere house is located and the Garcia house, which by the way, despite it only being about 2,500 square feet, it recently sold for $12.5 million. I mean, at this point, it's more about the art than the house. And compared to the area west of Laurel Canyon, you generally have bigger lots here and bigger houses, which makes this area just a little bit more expensive. Also, some of the streets here are not as scary. For example, here's one of the scariest streets on the other side of Laurel Canyon that people actually live on. I mean, there's barely enough space for one car, and if you run into one, well, good luck reversing out of that. Oh, and don't worry, if you mess up, there's only like a 200-foot cliff inches away from you. But anyway, yes, east of Laurel Canyon is one of my favorite places in the Hollywood Hills. Now, the median price for a house here is around $2.7 million with a high of about $12.5 million. Hollywood Hills neighborhood number 3, the best bang for your buck, Hollywood Heights. This is where you're going to find some of the oldest homes in the Hollywood Hills, with some going as far back as 1905. Now, one cool thing about this area, so here's a bunch of old school garages, kind of normal. Then straight ahead, there's this huge medieval looking tower, which by the way is actually an elevator. So you park your car in the garage, you go up the private elevator, then you end up in a series of secret walk streets that take you to your house. So yeah, some of the houses here in this neighborhood don't have real streets. The only way to get to your house is through these walk streets. And there's about a mile of paths and staircases that make up Hollywood Heights. And this, along with the old school Mediterranean architecture and sometimes very narrow streets, make you feel like you're in another country and another time. It's definitely one of the most unique neighborhoods in Los Angeles. And like other parts of the Hollywood Hills, this has also been home to a bunch of famous creative people, from Kurt Cobain to like Eva Longoria. Also, this is home to the Samuel Freeman House, designed by the famous architect Frank Lloyd Wright. Now, the median price for a house here is around $1.5 million, with a high of about $8 million. But in summary, yes, the Hollywood Hills is a massive world in itself, made up of a bunch of different pockets, but the general theme is the same. If you want to get away but still be near regular civilization, then yes, check out the Hollywood Hills. And by the way, my name is Daniel Rangel, real estate agent in the Hollywood Hills. If I can be of any help, it would be an honor. And for a consultation, you can find my information in the description below. And if you like this video, don't forget to hit like or subscribe, or check out some of my other Los Angeles neighborhood videos. But either way, thanks a bunch for watching and have an awesome day. Sorry, I almost forgot the secret lookout. Now, going north, you're gonna take Laurel Canyon and then make a left on Lookout Mountain and keep going until it turns into Wonderland Avenue, and then take Wonderland Avenue all the way to the top and then make a right on Crescent Drive, which, by the way, is a dirt road. Take it for like a minute and voila, you're there. But now, my recommendation is consider walking instead of driving the dirt road, as you could possibly get stuck or run into another car, which is going to make it impossible to turn around. Also, I'll put a general address to the location in the description below.